Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Old Past Podcast. And yes, OP is short for overpowered. That's not because I am overpowered, but it is He, that the Most High God is the one that's overpowered in the only and good sense. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Brother Reggie Paige, and this is episode 24. And today's topic will be called What Will Pay? Now, the college institution system isn't anything unique to Western civilization or even the world. In fact, in places like India, one of the oldest universities is called Taxila University, which was established around 7th century BC. Going farther east to a place called China, a place I used to study at some years ago, had imperial universities which could be traced back to China's Zhou dynasty with institutions like Tai Shui and Shu Yuan, or academies of classical learning, emerged during the Tang dynasty. Most of these private institutions focused on Confucian classics and prepared students for government services. When it comes to Western civilization, the history of colleges can be traced all the way back to ancient Greece, where philosophical schools like Plato's Academy gathered students for intellectual discourse. Moving to the Middle Ages, many Catholic monasteries became centers of learning, preserving, and copying ancient texts. And these Catholic monasteries eventually evolved into cathedral schools, which laid the groundwork for universities as we know it. In 1088, in the year of our Lord, what is considered the first true university in the Western world, the University of Bologna in Italy was founded. Forgive me if I said it incorrectly, but this university offered the more familiar model that strayed away from solely philosophy and theology to offering a structured curriculum with multiple disciplines like law, medicine, and theology. During the Renaissance, universities flourished alongside the rediscovery of classical learning, aka Greek philosophy, which you'll see more in our American college systems today. Because of this, humanism, a focus on human potential and reason, became a central theme in most of these colleges. This was just a reflection of the Greek Platonic academies. During the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century challenged the dominance of the Catholic Church in education. New universities were established with a Protestant theology focus. During the Enlightenment period, 17th and 18th century, emphasized scientific inquiry and critical thinking. Universities embraced these ideals, expanding their curriculum to include natural sciences. In the 19th century, we saw an escalate of research universities, particularly in Germany and in the United States. These institutions emphasized original research alongside teaching. Going into the 20th century and beyond saw a diversification of colleges with the rise of community colleges, women colleges, and HBCUs. And the influence of technology has also greatly impacted higher education with online learning platforms. In this very brief history of higher education institutions, there are many critiques of our modern higher education systems. I myself attended a HBCU in Charlotte, North Carolina called Johnson C. Smith University. And as I do not regret going to Johnson C. Smith University, years later, after I've graduated, I have many critiques of the modern college system as a whole. The question I will pose is if college is necessary. The answer to this question is that it simply depends on what career path you plan on taking and will it genuinely pay off in the long run. Some occupations such as a lawyer, medical doctor, dentist require you to go to school to train. For jobs like those, that is a good thing. Then you have jobs that you can either go to two directions or both. Those jobs are trade jobs, aka skilled labor jobs such as a chef, a plumber, electricians, jobs that you can either attend a trade school to learn that skill, or you can also become an apprentice under someone in that field, or you could just simply do both. Now, for myself, one of the trades that I have is the trade of the culinary arts. I grew up around men that knew how to throw down in the kitchen, but I never went to a culinary school to learn how to be a chef. I simply learned that trade from men that taught me on the job and studied on my own. In fact, a fellow chef of mine was telling how he envied me because I know how to cook a vast styles of food, whether it's Italian, Indian, barbecue, grill, Asian food and all its little sects, and I know how to plate my food, and I know how to what do you call it, fine dine and all that stuff. So he assumed from the very jump that I went to learn all of those skills at school, but was very surprised when I told him that I never attended culinary school. For sometimes culinary school is not necessary when you are able to learn on the job or be an apprentice under someone. Now, there are careers where there is a false illusion that one must attend college and meet XYZ requirements in order to be in that field. For example, many people believe that in order to become a teacher, you must get your master's degree or a PhD. This is also a slight myth. I'm not saying that it's not completely true, but there are many people I know personally, which includes myself, who has taught at schools and even at the university level without a master's degree or even a degree in education. Then there are fields where college is not necessary at all. Does one really have to go to college and get a business degree to learn about the world of business and corporations? Does one have to go to college to learn how to be a supervisor or manager? Does one have to go to college to learn how to be a missionary or a preacher? I know some of those fields that I named that I said it is rather unnecessary to attend a college for may offend some folks. However, I want to make myself clear. I am 100% for getting an education, but one does not need to go attend an institution to receive an education in certain fields. In many modern colleges, there are schools that offer majors and minors that are nothing but a waste of money and a waste of students who are there to learn something of values, time. Not everyone needs to go to college, and not every college needs to offer certain studies or, in my harsh opinion, even exist. There is nothing wrong with going to a language school to learn a specific language, or to a trade school to learn a specific trade, or to a 4-year university and higher levels, masters and PhDs to qualify yourselves in the fields that requires you to do so. But going to college to learn to be a businessman, you are better off just going off to learn a certain trade and learning the trade and learn the ins and outs of that specific trade. There is no necessity for one to attend a Bible college for a Bible certificate when the Word of God is at your access for you to learn. Secondly, your local New Testament church should be at your access to train you in the perfecting of the saints. And thirdly, nowhere in the Bible does it say thou shalt go to Bible college and get a degree in order to become an expert in the scriptures or to be qualified as a pastor or deacon. The sad state of traditional education is that these institutions overly saturate their students with skills and tools that leaves them unprepared for the realities of the job market. When I attended college for 2 years, you are taking classes that are unrelated to the field that you want to be in. Frankly, you're taking classes that you took in high school already. They pump you up with knowledge that you will toss to the wayside when you graduate and feel as if you lost a lot of time and wasted a lot of money. Then the school hope that you pursue a master's degree in order to get the full training of that field that you want to be in. Again, I say this is not only evil, but it is also a waste of time and money. And eventually, they contribute little to nothing to their society. It is a sad feat that most of us in society are not truly taught to think for ourselves. We are taught to leave the house at 18, even if we have no idea what we actually want to do. But we are taught to leave the house at 18, go to college to please your folks, and hopefully you find yourself along the way. Can you see why many people critique the educational system as we know it? Booker T. Washington critiqued the educational system, specifically the ones that focus solely on academic knowledge and neglect practical skills training. He believed such an education can leave graduates unprepared for the realities of the job market. In the speech we are going to read, he argued that simply having an education isn't enough. True value comes from applying knowledge and developing problem-solving skills. In this speech, he emphasizes the importance of learning practical trades like carpentry, mechanics, or agriculture. These skills allow individuals to be self-sufficient and contribute meaningfully to society. Of course, we know that Washington champions the dignity of skilled labor and the value of contributing to the community through one's craft, and stress the importance of a strong work ethic, initiative, and reliability. These qualities are essential for success in any field, regardless of the specific skills one possesses. And without taking more of your time, let us read the speech, What Will Pay, by Booker T. Washington. I wish to talk to you for a few minutes upon a subject that is much discussed, especially by young people. What things pay in life? There is no question, perhaps, which is as oftener by a person entering upon a career than this. What will pay? Will this course of action or that pay? Will it pay to enter into this business or that business? What will pay? Let us see if we can answer that question. A question which every student in this school should ask himself or herself. What will profit me most? What will make my life most useful? What will bring about the greatest degree of happiness? What will pay best? Not long ago, a certain minister secured the testimony of 40 men who has been successful in business, persons who beyond question had been pronounced to be businessmen of authority. The question which this minister put to these businessmen was whether under any circumstances it paid to be dishonest in business, whether they had found in all their business career that under any circumstances it paid to cheat, swindle, or take advantage of their fellow men, or in any way to deceive those with whom they came in contact. Every one of the 40 answered without hesitation that nothing short of downright honesty and fair dealing ever paid in any business. They said that no one could succeed permanently in business who was not honest in dealing with his fellow men, to say nothing of the future life or of doing right for right's sake. It does not pay an individual to do anything except what his conscience will approve of every day and every hour and minute in the day. I want you to put that question to yourself tonight. Ask yourself, what course of action will pay? You may be tempted to go astray in the matter of money. Think, when you are tempted to do that, what will pay? Persons who are likely to go astray in the matter of money, furthermore, are likely to do so in the matter of dress, in tampering with each other's property, in the matter of acting dishonestly with each other's books. Such person will be dishonest in the matter of labor too. It pays an individual to be honest with another person's money. It never pays to be dishonest in taking another person's clothes or book. None of these things ever pays. And when you have occasion to yield or not to yield to such a temptation, you should ask yourselves the question, will it pay me to do this? Put that question constantly to yourself. Whenever you promise, moreover, to do a piece of work for a man, there is a contract binding you to do an honest day's labor, and the man to pay you for an honest day's labor. If you fail to give such service, if you break that contract, you will find that such a discourse of action never pays. It will never pay you to deal dishonestly with an individual or to permit dishonest dealings. If you fail to give a full honest days of work, if you know that you have done only 3/4 of a day's work or 4/5, it may seem to you at the time that it has paid, but in the long run, you lose by it. I regret to say that we sometimes have occasion to meet students here who are inclined to be dishonest. Such students come to Mr. Palmer or to me and say they wish to go home. When they are asked why they wish to go home, some of them say they wish to go because they are sick. Then, when they have been talked with a few minutes, they may say that they do not like the food here, or perhaps that some disappointment has befallen their parents. In some cases, I have had students give me half a dozen excuses in little more than the same number of minutes. The proper thing for students to do when they wish to go home is to state the exact reason and then stick to it. The student who does that is the kind that will succeed in the world. The students who are downright dishonest in what they say will find out that they are not strong in anything, that they are not what they ought to be. The time will come when that sort of thing will carry them down instead of up. In a certain year, I think it was 1857, there was a great financial panic in the United States, especially in the city of New York. A great many of principal banks in the country failed, and others were in daily danger of failure. I remember a story that was told of one of the bank presidents of that time, William Taylor, I believe. All the bank's presidents in the city of New York were having meetings every night to find out how well they were succeeding in keeping their institutions solvent. At one of these meetings, after a critical day in the most trying period of the panic, when some men reported that they had lost money during that day, and others that so much money had been withdrawn from their banks during the day that if there were another like it, they did not see how they could stand the strain. William Taylor reported that money had been added to the deposits of his bank that day instead of being withdrawn. What was behind all this? William Taylor had learned in early life that it did not pay to be dishonest, but that it paid to be honest with all his depositors and with all the persons who did business with his bank. When other people were failing in all parts of the country, the evidence of this man's character, his regard for truth and honest dealings, caused money to come into his bank when it was being withdrawn from others. Character is a power. If you want to be powerful in the world, if you want to be strong, influential, and useful, you can be so in no better way than by having strong character. But you cannot have a strong character if you yield to the temptations about which I have been speaking. Someone asked some time ago what it was that gave such a power to the sermons of the late Dr. John Hall. In the usual sense, he was not a powerful speaker, but everything he said carried conviction with it. The explanation was that the character of the man was behind the sermon. You may go out and make great speeches. You may write books or addresses which are great literature, but unless you have character behind what you say and write, it will amount to nothing. It will all go to the winds. I leave this question with you then. When you are tempted to do what your conscience tells you is not right, ask yourself, will it pay me to do this thing which I know is not right? Go to the penitentiary. Ask the people there who have failed, who have made mistakes, why they are there. And in every case, they will tell you that they are there because they yielded to temptation, because they did not ask themselves the question, will it pay? Go, ask those people who have no care for life, who have thrown away their virtue, as it were, ask them why they are without character, and the answer will be in so many words that they sought but temporary success. In order to find some short road to success, in order to have momentary happiness, they yielded to temptation. We want to feel that in every student who goes out from here, there is a character which can be depended upon in the night as well as in the day. That is the kind of young man and young woman we wish to send out from here. Whenever you are tempted to yield a hair's breadth in the direction which I have indicated, ask yourself the question over and over again, will it pay me in this world? Will it pay me in the world to come? And hey, that's just the lowdown gospel truth. Thank you for listening, and join me next time. But if you enjoyed this episode, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and share the knowledge with your folks and kinfolks. And remember, the truth shall make you free. May the God of all knowledge have mercy and grace upon you all. Peace.